what are my strengths in this relationship? Today's romantic pick card reading is going to be focusing in on what you're doing right in the relationship. Now, anything that you're going to be strong in the relationship is also going to be something that the person that you're interested in is going to be responding to. Because obviously, if you're looking at your strengths in the relationship, the strength is going to be something that the person that you're interested in appreciates, right? So with today's reading, we're going to be focusing in on what you're doing well, because it's really important to know, you know, what you can kind of play up, you know, and what you can do to get this relationship moving along. So pile number 1 is the rose quartz heart. Pile number 2 is the purple fluorite heart, and pile number 3 is this blue lapis lazuli heart. Okay, before I begin, donations. I've had 2 different people ask me about ways to make donations to the channel. So I do want to remind you guys that anything that you need to know about me is in the description. That does include 2 links where you can make donations to the channel. You can either do that through a PayPal donation, or I also have included a link to the MomentsAre wish list, which is just certain supplies that I'm going to need anyway to help run this channel, okay? So either way, it would be very, very appreciated, but it is by no means required, okay? It's just giving you guys an opportunity to do that if you feel led to do that. I also just want to mention that timestamps for each one of these piles, usually I put it in comments pretty quickly, but if they're not in comments at the time that you watch this, it will also be included in that descriptor. And then the other stuff is like contact information and information about my private readings and all that good stuff. Now that I've kind of wasted your time by kind of going over that stuff, because I know what you really want is to, you know, get to this reading, I want you to go ahead and focus on which deck that you want to pick, and we're going to go ahead and start. So if you haven't picked one yet, pause the video, and for those of you who have already picked, we're going to start with pile number 1, which is the pink rose quartz heart. Okay, those of you who have picked the pink rose quartz heart, what are some strengths in your relationship? Okay. Okay, so like something that's like really, I mean, it's like just really like kind of woven together with every single one of these cards is that there's just this sweetness about you that you bring to the relationship and it's like sweet and gentle, and it feels very feminine to me. Although it could be like, I mean, I'm not saying that only females are watching this. It's just, it feels very feminine and that it's very gentle. It's not, there's not a whole lot of brute force involved, right? So the first card that you have is spontaneity, okay? You move beyond constraints. It's like you don't realize that there could ever be an obstacle with this. At least that's the way you appear, okay? Because I know that intellectually, you've probably imagined like 10,000 obstacles that could come in the way of this relationship, right? But the way that you act around your person is with this kind of happy confidence that the 2 of you are gonna be together. And it's like, and I don't even necessarily mean that you're like prideful about it or that you're, you know, like boastful or anything like that, you know, when you're around this person. It's just that you have this kind of calm reassurance when you're around your person that lets them know that you feel strongly about it without you having to say anything like, oh, I really like you, or oh, I love you, or, you know, anything like that. Spontaneity also talks to try not to make things so routine. For example, sometimes people will want to reach out to somebody through text message or email, and they don't want to do it too much, so they make sure that they only reach out, I'm just pretending, like once every 3 days, right? You don't have to follow rules like that in this relationship. In this relationship, if you feel like reaching out to them, go ahead and reach out to them, okay? It's not gonna be a big deal if you do that. And when you're reaching out, just make sure that there's a point to what you're communicating. Just make sure that that there's a quote unquote good reason, otherwise it's going to be a little bit confusing for the other person, because the other person's not going to quite get why you're maybe asking something to them particularly, or why you're sharing something to them particularly, if you don't explain why. Okay, so this is kind of like a character that has a lot of influence right now in your relationship, and this is kind of like what you play in the relationship. So you have a very strong understanding of cause and effect, and believe it or not, there are some people out there, in fact there's lots of people out there that don't. It's like they have no idea that what they say or what they do or what they even think has any kind of effects on anything else. You appreciate that, and you're almost like overly sensitive to that, and there's nothing wrong with that. I really think it's a positive for you. So you got the character, the web weaver, okay? And this is somebody who has divine intelligence, wisdom, but it's also flavored with that spiritual. It's flavored with that almost like respect for the for spirit, for God, for the universe, for your higher self, for whatever you call it. It's like flavored with that. And you guys also have a lot of synchronicities. These are strengths, okay? So when there is a synchronicity, what I would suggest is go ahead and write that down. Take note of it. Make it physical, because if you have that, then anytime that you're feeling negative about the situation, anytime you're feeling bad about the situation, for whatever reason, all relationships go through ups and downs, okay? You'll be able to have that to refer to be like, you know what? No, there's just too many coincidences for this to not be something real, okay? So that's something that you can have that'll just kind of boost that confidence that you have in this relationship. And then as far as the spirit animals, we've got the bee spirit, which talks about sweet results awaiting. And then you've got the deer spirit, which advises to bring a gentle touch. I think that, I apologize if you just heard my dog. I don't know. She must have seen a squirrel out the window or something. But basically, when you get the bee spirit, it's just showing like sweetness, and it's showing sweetness of character and going after what is positive and good. So you're a very positive force in this relationship. And then when you've got the deer spirit, being gentle, like I said, being sweet, being gentle, these are things that I associate with feminine energy. It seems like this stuff's working for you. So make sure that, don't necessarily be understated, but make sure that you're not overstating anything that you're doing. Your body language and all of that will be very fluid, very sweet, very non-intrusive, that kind of thing. And that really works right now in your relationship. So let's pretend, I'm just going to give a scenario. So let's pretend like you haven't talked to this person for a while. One thing that might work by combining all of this stuff is that you might want to take a picture of yourself maybe wearing something that's very gentle, like something that's very, very feminine. For you ladies out there, wearing something very feminine, let your hair down, make it be very sweet and innocent, and that kind of thing. Take a picture of yourself like that and send it to them, because that's spontaneity, that's being sweet and gentle, and that's also being very aware of cause and effect in this situation. So that would be one example of something you can do, okay? And guys, for those of you who are watching, it's the same thing, basically, just doing something very sweet, that's not showing a whole lot of masculinity or a whole lot of like dominating energy, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's like a suggestion, right? So the bottom line is that we even have a result here, which I wasn't even looking for, but the result is sweet results await, okay? So this is gonna go pretty good for you, okay? But you know, as far as the overall read and what are the strengths is this feminine energy, the gentleness and the sweetness, and the strengths is spontaneity, and also just being aware of all of the synchronicities, cause and effect, and applying that divine intelligence, you know, to everything. There's a season and all of that good stuff. So it looks like you guys are doing a good job. Just keep doing what you're doing. Alrighty. Hi, group 2. So those of you who picked the purple fluorite, let's go ahead and look at what your strengths are in the relationship. We've got joy. We've got the fire prince. And then we've got the seahorse spirit and hawk spirit. Okay. So this is kind of interesting. this is a kind of an interesting read, especially since it's, you know, for me it's like it's like a completely different energy than the last one, you know. So it's kind of like a jolt to my system because it's so different. One thing is that you have a lot of joy, okay? And that is really like powerful when it comes to how you relate to other people, okay? I have a friend who's very, very introverted, doesn't really like doing the whole people thing and all of that. But something that he really loves is when people are joyful and happy around him. He will go out of his way to be around people like that. Whereas even his friends, even his best friends, even me, right? He doesn't want to be around me so much. Not that I'm not joyful, okay? But it's just that he'd rather be around the, like, really overly joyful people that are just, you know, those people that are just constantly, like, just really bubbly and effervescent and all of that, you know, great stuff. So it's like you bring not only this happiness, but this love for life, this spirit with you. And they love that. They love it when you're happy. They love that you can bring that to this relationship, okay? So remember that joy, you know, that kind of energy is what they really respond to, okay? So just keep that in mind, okay? And then we've got the Fire Prince, and it's kind of like reinforcing this joy card because the words for this is optimism and aggression. Okay, so optimism and joy kind of go together, right? So it's like this feels more like optimism, like confidence. And then this aggression energy is what you know, kind of what kind of strikes me here is that it's like I'm not saying to be the person who pursues the relationship. I'm not necessarily saying that, although that's definitely okay according to this, okay? I mean, you can do that and that would be great. That is a strength. But what I'm saying is that just play aggressively to your own boundaries when it comes to that fiery, sexual, passionate energy that you have towards this person. It's okay to lock eyes with this person and linger a little bit. It's okay to maybe even wink at them if that's your thing. Some people can pull it off, you know. Just know it's okay to bring that kind of fiery, playful, flirtatious energy there, because that's working for you, okay? Sometimes they just really do want you to just take control, take charge, and just do it. At the same time, you know, I really feel that this is a mutual thing too. But considering that we've also got the seahorse and the hawk, it kind of reinforces that aggression or that passion and all of that good stuff, okay? So the seahorse spirit also says watch and wait. So it's like, it's not necessarily saying patience, it's just saying observe. I think that in your situation, when some people, I'm trying to think of the best way to communicate this. Some people, when they are in a situation and things aren't happening fast enough for them, or things are a little off pace for them. They'll wait for something to happen, but during the time that they're waiting, they'll feel kind of anxious. I have a friend, it's actually the same friend I was talking about with the joy. I have a friend who sometimes I'll ask him a question about business because we do some work together, and you know, he lives in a completely different time zone from me, and I'll get a little bit nervous and anxious because he hasn't gotten back to me right away, right? The whole time I'm not thinking, oh, there's an enormous storm going around, you know, going on in his time zone right now. So maybe he doesn't have internet, which was the reason why he couldn't get a hold of me the last time I had this issue. You know, it's like instead of observing all of that stuff, I get down on myself. I'm like, well, maybe he doesn't really want to work with me anyway, or I'll say some of the stupidest things to myself. But, you know, watching is being more observant, being more aware of what could be going on, you know? So watching and waiting is just, if you observe the situation, you're going to pick up on some really strong insight into this relationship. So your power of observation is very good in this situation, and it'll really help you get some answers. And then Hawk Spirit is let Spirit be your guide, okay? So I feel like the passionate energy that the Fire Prince brings and Spirit itself are both really interconnected. Spirit is a little bit more gentle, though. Spirit is what kind of gives you that nudge, you know, that, okay, this is going to happen. This needs to happen. So that soul feeling that you're feeling when you're thinking about this person, or when you're around them, or when you have this person in your heart, that soul feeling, that kind of magnetism, that kind of feeling, that's guiding you, that's telling you, that's giving you reinforcement and validation that, yeah, this is supposed to happen, this is what needs to happen, that kind of thing. I do want to mention that Hawk Spirit is also a little bit like predatory is the best word I can think of right now. But, you know, it's like that aggression that, like, in the watching and waiting, you know, it'll just like soar above, and it'll find something that it wants, and it'll just swoop down and be so accurate in the way that it captures its prey. And I think that that's a really good metaphor for the combination of the Fire Prince and the Seahorse Spirit, with watching and waiting and being an observer and that kind of thing. Whenever you get a bird come up in a reading, it's also talking about perspectives, because birds are able to see the world from a completely different perspective than, you know, land animals and humans and all of that. So it's a special thing to get that, you know. And then I do also have to point out that you've also got a seahorse that resides in the water too. So it's like you're master of multiple worlds here. You see the different layers, and you see the different facets of personality and the different facets of a relationship. And I think that that's a really important skill to have as well. And even though the cards aren't saying it outright, it's implying that you see things from all these different perspectives, and I think that that's great. Please don't forget, though, that this joy came up, because really I think that that is extremely attractive when you're able to play that up. And I'm not saying to fake your feelings, you know. If you're not having a good day, then you're not having a good day. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has bad days, right? But when you are joyful, and when you are truly feeling that is something that makes you so attractive in this situation. So just kind of keep that in mind. It looks like things are going pretty good, though. I mean, it looks like you have a lot of strengths that you can play to. Alrighty. Hi, those of you who picked pile 3, the blue Lapis Lazuli heart. Let's go ahead and see what strengths you have in your relationship. Okay, satisfaction, lion spirit, cat spirit, and the arrow master. Okay, I've just got to say, I already love you guys, because I am a huge cat fan, and you've got 2 cats over here, and I think that that's very cute of you guys, and I just love it. Okay, so now that I've gotten that out of my system, one thing that's really attractive about you in this relationship is not only do you satisfy this person's needs, but you also are able to satisfy your own needs independent from this person. So whenever you feel as though you're kind of looking to this person to give you validation, or this person to give you, I don't know, give you some kind of like reassurance and that kind of thing, while that's totally appropriate in a relationship and everything, just know that when you're able to give yourself that, they really find that attractive. When, how you can use this in your relationship is look for what the person needs, okay? Look for what your person seems to be needing, and where they have deficits, where they're feeling like they're not maybe as good, For example, I have a friend who is absolutely brilliant, one of the smartest people I know, and for some reason he thinks that he's just average and not really that smart, right? I mean, and this person's brilliant, okay? So I make sure that when he does something that's really concrete, that kind of proves that he's smart, that I point it out. It's like, you say that you're just average, but you're at the top of your class. So, what do you have to say about that, right? So, I just make sure that I point it out with this particular person. And then you've got the Arrow Master, and the Arrow Master is all about accuracy. They hit the mark, and they also set their intentions, so they have goals that they want to meet. And then they hit that, right? One thing about the Arrow Master, though, which a lot of people find challenging, maybe you guys don't so much, is that in order to hit the mark, the Arrow Master has to let go of the arrow, right? And they just have to trust that their judgment in the projection of where that arrow was going to go was correct. So part of this is indicating to me that you have some self-trust there, which is wonderful. If for whatever reason you feel like you don't have a lot of self-trust, start trusting in yourself. Start trusting in that your judgment is sound enough in order to get what you want out of the situation, because it is. You'll keep hitting the mark every single time. So keep that in mind. You're doing what you need to do. Yes, there's a little bit of detachment that is needed, and that does involve trust and faith, in yourself. But just remember that you are the one that's bringing this about. So keep that in mind. Cat spirit, claim your independence. This is just kind of reinforcing the whole satisfaction, being able to satisfy yourself. And it's also, it's also reinforcing this card, which is saying to kind of detach from that, trust yourself, be who you are, claim who you are. That's what's going to work in this situation. Then the Lion spirit is being generous of spirit. And I think that that's a really important aspect to relationships too. Some people just take and take and take, and it's kind of frustrating, okay? And if you're a generous kind of person, then this might be something that has been a problem for you in the past. I know that for me personally, I feel compelled to give more than maybe what a situation calls for is necessary. So I do know what it's like to kind of overgive in a situation. However, in this situation, this card is saying, it's okay to give a little bit more than maybe what you would in a normal situation, because they're not going to take advantage of you. They're not going to take advantage of that. So just going over it again, what's working for you right now is that independence, that ability to satisfy the needs of the other person, and your ability to be really accurate. Like you're doing exactly what you need in order to get what you want, right? And then this generosity thing, is just really becoming of you. It's something that is really attractive about you. So just kind of keep these things in mind. Know that in your relationship, this is the kind of stuff you can do that's really going to help the relationship along. All right? Hi, thank you guys so much for watching to the end of this video. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I want to say that with every single like, comment, and new subscriber, I have so much joy when I experience that. I mean, I'm still just totally giddy over each and every single one of you. I want to let you guys know that I really appreciate any feedback that you want to give to me. And if you have an idea for a pick a card reading, go ahead and share it with me. I'll add it to my list and we'll see what we can do, okay? I also just want to say just thank you guys for all of the support. I'm just really loving the community that we're creating, and I just think it's just so great. I really just love all of you guys, and I want to make sure that you guys know that, and that you know that I really appreciate you. Because, you know, what you do for me is that you let me know that what I'm doing is right. It's a positive force in the world, that what I'm doing is something that is meaningful, right? So, I mean, it's just such a great feeling, and I just want to thank you guys for it. Alrighty, I'll go ahead and see you tomorrow.